Peace. What's happening, good people? Welcome to another edition of Riot Starter TV on Black Power Media. If it's your first time tuning in, we say welcome. If you are unfamiliar with Black Power Media, it is a place that you can get all things political. You'll be on point with your political education, Pan-Africanism, nationalism, the whole nine, and we do it in a way that is that we consider fly. You know what I'm saying? It's not a, we try not to bore you to death. We try to hit you with the real, but from a different angle. If you are new to Black Power Media and you have not yet subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button on YouTube so that you can stay tuned with the things that we have going on here. This is a place that you can find everything from Award Churchill to a MOVE organization. You know what I'm saying? You can find out information from members of AIM, the American Indian Movement, the BLA, so on and so forth. So definitely check out our archive. Today, what we wanted to do, being that most of us on this platform, we are from the generation after the quote unquote 60s era. We come from the next generation after the Panther Party and the RNA and so many of these other different organizations, SNCC, so on and so forth. And we wanted to pay homage to the Black Panther Party, seeing that this is the 55th year anniversary, which was commemorated a few days ago on the 15th. But having a platform of our own, we wanted to bring some folks who put in work, so to speak, who may not have the most popular name, but in many cases and in most cases, the oil and the engine and the guts of the car don't necessarily get the recognition it needs. Folks look at, what's the outside looking like, you know what I mean? What does it feel like? But they don't know what it takes to make it move. So today, what I would like to do is introduce you all to a few different members from different chapters and different branches around the country and around the world from the Black Panther Party. So right after this quick break, we'll be back with the Black Panther Party 55th year anniversary. Checking out the Riot Starter TV. Peace.
You basically knowing my ideology, and basically me knowing yours, you can support some of our programs. Is that what you're saying?
Why not?
And you believe in programs like the Breast of Children program and free health clinics? Right on, brothers?
We believe they're good things.
Uh-huh.
As a focal point to organize their mothers and fathers.
Uh-huh.
Peace.
Mm-hmm. There's no educational program here?
That's come out of the social action thing. You set that up, but we can't put everything on one piece of paper.
What about this bank?
Credit union?
Mm-hmm.
Credit union. Credit union, my brother.
Is a bank.
Are you hip to credit unions? It is a bank.
Yeah, you go and borrow money?
Yeah, it's a bank. It's a bank. Owned by the people, run for the people, and by the people.
What will money be given out to people for?
Well, the people would decide that. You want to buy, whatever, the people in the community decide. You need some living room furniture, maybe? You need a car, maybe?
See, the thing is with me, you dig, I need to know some more about it. I wish you had some more literature about the educational thing here. Because, you dig, as far as we're concerned in the struggle the way we look at struggle is that this depends on the educational thing, you did. Because
this depends on the education. Well, the whole thing.
No, but in the end, this does. You can form this with no education. You can form this.
No, not the way we're talking about forming it. You know, right? We're talking about forming it, right? You know, it's not on the paper. We didn't write it on the paper.
Form it right with no education.
No.
Let me give you an example. Jomo Kenyatta formed the excellent revolution with no education. And then at the end thing, Yomo told the motherfucker, I said, well, you know, you can educate hate the enemy, but I'm your brother. I'll help you lead the revolution. Now I'm more pressure. Another example, Papa Doc in Haiti. Papa Doc in Haiti hated everything white. Man, you couldn't put this white paper in front of Papa Doc's face, but he moved all the white people out and he took over and be oppressed. He did, causing no education. And the people that had been educated, they just said that we don't hate the motherfucker white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow. So we got to know the educational program to find out what is going to be in the finale. A lot of people, Yomo Kenyatta is called not a never a revolutionary, but an ex-revolutionary. So is Papa Doc. They brought on a successful revolution. That thing in the Mamas was a bitch. Bantu freedom fighters, all that kind of action. What we're saying is the end. But you don't judge Castro now. You can't do it. Nobody in this room could judge whether Castro's going to be a revolutionary or not. You know what I mean? We're talking about things, you know what I mean, with China, the People's Republic, and even at the stage they're in now, talking about even going on further into a communistic state. That's what we're talking about. Those are revolutionary. So we got to understand here the educational program that you have to be able to figure out whether it will go on the right lines where the people will end up in a situation where they can be able to really control themselves. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, the people that take this local foundation start stealing money because they won't be really educated to why it's the people's thing anyway. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa 9, like you got in Haiti. So what we're talking about is there has to be an educational program. That's very important. As a matter of fact, we are so important for us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party, able to even run down ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have an education, then they're nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? They're nowhere because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You might get people caught up in the emotionalist movement. You understand me? You might get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be capitalists. And before you know it, we have Negro imperialists.
We already got them. We already got Negro imperialists.
What's happening? Welcome to the 55th anniversary of the Black Panther Party. That was Chairman Fred Hampton, Deputy Chairman of the Black Panther Party, the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. I want to introduce you all to our esteemed panel, for lack of better words. Some serious fighters. To clockwise, we have Kazi Toure, Bilal Sunni Ali, Mama Sakari, and Kim Holder. Welcome to Black Power Media. How y'all feeling today?
All right.
Peaceful, brother.
With you.
No doubt, no doubt. Speaking on behalf of our platform and our folks in the chat, we say that we're definitely grateful that you all are here 55 years later after the the founding of the party, man. I mean, that's a powerful thing. I can only imagine how you all feel. But what I would like to do, I'm pretty hip to most of you on the platform, but I think that I would be doing a disservice and an injustice if I make an effort to read your bio. So what I would like to do, starting with Kazi and going, matter of fact, we're gonna go counterclockwise. Yeah. We're gonna start with Mama Sukari, and we want to say what what was your introduction to the Black Panther Party? What year did you join, and from what particular branch or chapter did you come out of?
Oh, well, for me, I was going on 15. It had to have been 66, and I would just go to read the paper. The office had been set up in West Oakland, and that was the first office. They were talking a lot about Black studies, Afro-American studies later, at one of the campuses that was in the Black community, Merritt College. And they were calling it Merritt College, home of the Black Panther Party, because they helped establish.
Okay, we may have lost Mama Sakari for a second, but we'll go with you for now, Kim, if you want to roll on with it.
Okay. I joined in 1969. Actually, I joined a month after the Panther 21 were arrested. I was member of Harlem branch. I was 12. And I joined because I thought I was going to miss the revolution. They done busted all the Panthers in New York. I was going to miss it. So I joined in May 69. And when I joined, there was only one organic indigenous leader in New York, and that was Zay Malik Shakur. So like my first introduction to Panther leadership was DC and Al Carroll, and then later Robert Webb. So I joined in '69. I went to, I was part of the civil rights movement. My family goes back to all kinds of movements. But one thing was me and my brother, we went to that nonviolent training, and they teach you how to get beat up and stuff. That just wasn't for us. As little kids, that just wasn't for us and stuff. And so I started reading the Panther paper, well, actually looking at Emory's pictures. I'm dyslexic, and so in fact, I learned how to read in the Panther Party.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's what's up. Sakari, you want to finish what you were saying? I know you got cut off real quick, but
yeah, it took me a moment to figure out how to come back.
Go and tell,
okay.
bro.
Yeah. The party was just getting started. I had grown up in West Oakland, lived in North Oakland, and was living in Berkeley by the time I joined the party. And we were trying to decide among our friends whether we wanted to participate with the NAACP in Berkeley. They had a really radical group, and most of those were some of my best friends that were a part of it. We were trying to understand.
You keep, wow.
Yeah, I think Sakari has a bad connection.
Sabotage.
Hey. Told you.
You're muted, Mama Sakari, but what we'll do is we'll try to get her tech in order and see if we can go to Bilal for now. Bilal, you want to speak on it?
Yeah. Large leading being. That's a lot. You can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yes.
That's a lot.
It's coming in scratchy, man.
What I want to discuss, I actually was a Panther before I joined the Panther Party. There was a Panther Party in New York that was started by the Revolutionary Action Movement.
Ram.
You're fading out as well.
Wow. This is sabotage, man.
I had a roommate that was in the Black Panther Party, and that was approximately 1966. And later on, the Black Panther Party for Self-Determination came to New York, and I went to the meetings, and I joined, and I started recruiting people. At that point, we had there was a Queens chapter and a Brooklyn chapter, and so we started a Bronx Harlem chapter because, well, the people who had come to New York really didn't understand New York, so they asked me to start a Bronx and Harlem chapter, which I did. Later on, the Bronx and Harlem each had their own chapters. but we started off as the Bronx Harlem chapter. And you say I got in and I left town. I had a couple of cases. In court, and I didn't believe in the court system, so I didn't obey it when they had to show up at a certain time. I showed up elsewhere. I showed up in Oakland. And I showed up underground. But I had already been recruiting people into the Bronx Harlem chapter. One of my best friends at the time was Lumumba Abdul Shakur. So he was one of the first people I went and talked to about it, and another Sekou Odinga. So I talked to them about it first, and they became very active in it and developed it. And later on, while I was out in California on the street, I got captured, and I was sent to college. I went to Soledad University, and I got back out of Soledad University. I went and I went back to the National Committee for Defense of New York, 72, and like a lot of them been killed and jailed, and so we had to start a National Committee for Defense of Political Prisoners to create another national organization represented the Panthers who were both in and out of jail.
Okay, right on. So what we want to do, we just been joined by Mama Charlotte Hill O'Neill as well, who is out in who is visiting from Tanzania. So what we'll do is we can go ahead and allow Kazi to introduce himself, and then we'll come back to Mama Charlotte real quick.
You can let your sister go, man. Let Charlotte go.
Okay, all right. Mama Charlotte.
Yes. I'm Mama C, Charlotte Hill O'Neill, representing the Kansas City chapter of the Black Panther Party and the United African Alliance Community Center. I'm co-founder with Brother Pete O'Neill of UAACC. He was the chair and founder of Kansas City chapter. When he went into exile, after some years of homesteading, and I guess I'll talk about that later, we established United African Alliance Community Center. I'm here and just flew into Sacramento last night. Then we're going down to Oakland for many of the festivities celebrating the 55th year. Isn't that something, Brother Bilal? 55 years of the founding of the Black Panther Party. And I'm just so excited and so humbled and just so grateful that so many of us are still here and still doing community work in the way that suits who we are. So I'm happy to see all the comrades here. My sister Sukari there, and Brother Kazi and Brother Bilal and Brother Kim. I'm just so happy. Yes, Brother Kalonji. Asante Sana for inviting me to be a part of that. I don't know how long I'm gonna be on here, but I'm happy to be on here right now.
We just wanted to see your face in the place. Can you tell us what year and how old were you when you joined the party? And what?
I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school. Even when I was in high school, I was skipping school to go to the rallies, to attend some of the political education classes. I met Brother Pete O'Neill. I was 18, he was 29. We became what we used to call it, we were relating. And then later we became husband and wife, brother and sisters, comrades, and that continues 52 years later. We've been together 52 years, y'all. And that is such a blessing, you know, to be an example of Black love, any kind of love. is in this day and age. And I give thanks for him. I give thanks that we continue to have that Panther spirit that urges us to do community work, community service. And many people forget that was one of the main hallmarks of who we are as Black Panthers, you know. So among the Panther family, we always say, once a Panther, always a Panther. And I give thanks for all the young people who have stepped into our shoes and who are creating their own way of living in the world powerfully and with ethics and with positivity. I give thanks to the young people like Brother Kalonji and so many other young people. I met so many here in Oakland who came there to Tanzania and shared their knowledge. It's always young people and elders coming back and forth, and we just love that exchange of positive energy and love, and we will continue to be an example for our communities, for worldwide. Yes.
Right on, right on. Hey, Mama C, I appreciate being called young because my children, they don't agree with it. You know what I mean? So I'm 50. Hey, I'm 50 now, so they still, you know, I still think I'm a youth, but they don't agree. And then, you know, when I go out there running in the streets, the oxygen don't necessarily agree either. But definitely.
Well, I got a son that's 50. I'm 70 and loving it. Yeah,
hey, that's a beautiful
if this
thing.
is the way 70 is, I'm looking forward to being 90 and 100.
Right on, right on. We definitely appreciate that. So definitely, man, you know, honored to have you all on here, and we appreciate the piece. We almost forgot Kazi over there trying to act like he ain't on the screen and whatnot. So he been dodging his bio.
No, brother, I was just enjoying listening to the sister, man, and I agree wholeheartedly with her, man. It's a blessing, man, for us all to be here after all these years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So give us a bio, Kazi.
And a struggle.
For real. All power to the people, man. I didn't officially join the party, but I've always been a Panther ever since they started in '66. But I was 16 then, and I was in high school up in New Hampshire. But I hit Oakland after I graduated in '69, and I was hit Oakland. And I went to enrolled in Laney College, and I lived up on West on MacArthur Boulevard above the headquarters, you know. And you know, like them years, man, out there it was beautiful. It was beautiful coming out from here, you know, in you know, New Hampshire, where it was predominantly white. Coming to Oakland was beautiful for me, and linking up with people, man, and doing the work. But what stopped me, I think, I was rooming with a brother from Boston who had just got back from Nam, and he was educating me also to the way that the Viet Cong was moving, you know, not having any visible headquarters and whatnot. And so it kind of it stopped me from officially joining, you know. But I go to meetings, and up until the pigs started riding around headquarters there, shooting in, you know, we had to have sandbags around, you know, how it looked out there. Everybody knows that was out there. But yeah, man, that was '69.
For the young people who listen who don't know, like we all know, but tell, you know, for the people that's listening and watching.
Oh yeah, for them. I mean, I think it was one night. Me and my brother was getting ready to go into headquarters, in the Panther Party headquarters, and the pigs started riding around. They had 3 cars, 4 deep, in each car, shooting into headquarters, just riding around like it was a wagon train or some shit, you know. Yeah, the times was deep, man. And we started feeling like we had to move another way. You know, we couldn't be sitting ducks for them pigs.
If you ever see the pictures of the Harlem branch, 2026 7th Avenue, first it was glass, and then as you see around 69, it becomes wood with gun ports and reinforced with sandbags and also metal because of the intensity of the what we would call the pigs vamping on us and stuff. And so, you know, when I first joined in the spring of 69, we had glass, you know, storefront, you know, people looking in and out. But by the end of December, after Fred's murder and after the LA shootout, then we've got it gun ports and reinforced with metal and sandbags. We used to go down to Coney Island and fill up the sandbags for our officers.
You know, I want. Go ahead, Mama C.
And in the midst of all that, we still fed thousands of children across the country every day. We still took care of medical needs the way that we were able to, you know, and that's the thing that I still carry that spirit, you know, that in all of this that was going on, we kept on serving the people. Brother Kalonji, can I just say a couple of things before I have to go?
Please do. Please do.
If there are people in Oakland, please know that the festivities here, the celebrations here are going to be going on. One of the things that we're going to do in Little Bobby Hutton Park is that we're going to call out the names of our fallen comrades and lift them up through remembering them. We're going to have a ritual that will commemorate our comrades who are no longer here with us. We're going to have music. We're going to have, there's art exhibitions. There are beautiful gatherings with safe distancing. So we're going to be doing so much, and I'm just so excited. You know, there are murals all over Oakland, and some of them are even augmented. Yes, and so that's good. I didn't even know about this technology. And Brother Damon, he came to Tanzania and was teaching it. So I give thanks to the organizers. I give thanks to Bill Jennings, who's been organizing the Brother Bilal. I was hoping I'd be able to jam with you, brother. Well, I guess I can't.
Yeah, I'm traveling now. We can just call each other.
Well, we're gonna take a rain check on that, okay? I always love us sharing music, you know. Yeah, so, Brother Kalonji, I'm just so happy that you continue to carry the spirit of the Black Panther Party, the spirit of serving the community. Y'all are the next generation, but y'all doing it right now. Despite what your children think that you're an old man, you ain't. So thank you, comrades. I hope I see some of y'all at these celebrations here, and keep on carrying that spirit of the Black Panther Party in us, which means community service, y'all. Power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power to the
people. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
See y'all.
Yes, be safe. Yes, that was Mama C joining us. You know, she's on the road, as she mentioned. You know, she's lives in Tanzania. Her and Brother Pete been out there for years. I want to ask you all, because of the fact that, you know, y'all kind of jumped the gun, so to speak, which is a good thing. But the first thing I wanted to ask you all was about political education. But before that, you know, you all mentioned, you know, headquarters being shot up and feeding children and all that type stuff, playing crackers advocate. You know what I'm saying? And for the youth that are listening, you know, some people will be confused because we have an international audience. They want to know, like, well, why would they be shooting up, you know, your headquarters if you talking about feeding people? You know what I'm saying? Can we speak to that? What would be the reason for that? Would you all say? I know it's an elementary question, but keeping in mind that you know, it's somebody new sprouting up every day.
Well, you know, the director of the FBI said that Black Panther Party was the #1 threat to security. I think feeding people, showing people that we could take our own destiny in our hands is a threat to the system. And when you're a threat to the system, they're going to come down on you, as they did. And a lot of us were so young, that was normal. I joined, like I said, I joined after the 21 got arrested. I mean, that wasn't a deterrent to us to struggling. It was the reason why we were struggling in the first place. I mean, no matter what was happening, the people were first and foremost in our mind to serve the people.
Now, I want to ask you, Kim, because of the fact that we've had, some of the members of the Panther 21 on here. We've had Daruba and Sekou and a few others. But, keeping in mind that there are folks that is their first introduction to the Black Panther Party, period. So you speak on what is the Panther 21 for folks who are unfamiliar.
Okay, so in the early part of early spring of 1969, the New York City Police Department had made up this conspiracy of terrorism, blowing up the botanical gardens and different things, and they targeted 21 Black Panthers. Some of the people you mentioned, and others, Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, Jamal Joseph, Michael Sechuel Tabor, and others. And they arrested them in an attempt to wipe out the New York City Black Panther Party. And so they were picked up in April of 1969, held for over a year, I think 2 years, and eventually they were put on trial and they were acquitted of all charges. It was, at the time, it was the longest running trial. They used the most money in it, and they came up with nothing.
Right on. Anybody else want to add on to, to as far as the attack and the vamping on the Black Panther Party? Anybody else want to speak to that?
Well, in New York, they targeted all of the leadership of the Black Panther Party. They got indictments for people, and what they usually do, as they capture people, they'll announce the indictment. I'm proud to say that I was. They never captured me, but I was part of the. Within the complaint, even though it captured me. So I'm in the book, the second book. We have 2 books out. One is and they both have the same title, Look for Me in the Whirlwind. The first book on trial in the first, and the second book is those of us who have survived. And I want to mention also Bob Collier, who also, like me, was a Panther before we were members of the Black Panther Party. Bob Collier, he was named, and it was like, almost every political case that happened in New York, Bob would get arrested and put in it, whether he knew anything about it or not. And so, just want to mention that there were people, there were more people that were identified and sought after, who never got captured. So I just want to big them up as well.
No doubt. Now,
21 were indicted and 13 were arrested.
Yeah, okay. I would just add on, Kalonji, that what Bilal was saying, that all the leadership was attacked across the country, and Hoover was doing that, just as the brother was saying, Kim was saying, because the party was starting to meet the needs of the people in the community, and the system really couldn't have some other group other than the government meeting the needs of the people, man. Because then people start feeling they don't need the government,
Right.
We can do it on our own. They don't want that example to be shown to the people, man, that we can do it without them.
Yeah.
Right on.
I find that to be probably one of the most dangerous things for them. I'll give you another example, more contemporary. During Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, when people would go out and be rescuing people in their own boats, those boats would be targeted by law enforcement, shot and because, and people were asking me, well, why are they doing this? And I said, look, y'all taking care of yourselves, and that's the biggest threat to the system, is that
Right
you
on.
could take care of yourselves when they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Right on.
That's why we need to get this this medical thing hooked up for the political prisoners, like, you know, Maroon and Sundiata, Mumia, the people that's sick in there. You know, we need to get our own healing center set up, man. You know, so we can help those brothers and sisters that's locked down, man.
Right on. Right on. So, Mama Sakari, would you like to add on as far as, like, I know you were up in the in the Bay Area and sort of in the swing of things. Would you like to add on as far as, like, you know, what was the experience like in that area with all you know, okay, we might have lost her again. Yeah. I want to move on to the whole political education part, because of the fact that I think that one of the things I've noticed with the party and some of these newer organizations is that with the party, one of the things that, like, as we opened up with Chairman Fred, and he was talking about political education, right? So I want to ask you all, how important was political education in the Black Panther Party, and how important would you say it is now? And anyone can take that. Maybe
It's always been important. One of the main things that I learned in political education was the power. Power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. As young as I was, it took me forever for that to go through me. I had to say it over and over again. We studied everything, worldwide everything. And what we did that caused so much pressure was that we became the identity. We served the people. We gave them their party. They didn't have a party. So they needed someone to look out for them. And that was what was really the biggest embrace from the community, was that they felt covered. But yeah, we read so much. I'll let the brothers stay here. Hopefully I can listen.
Right on, right on. Anybody else want to add on?
Yeah. Well, like Jamal Joseph once said, you know, he joined the party, expected to get a gun, and they gave him a book.
Right on, right on. Yeah.
That political education was important element.
Bunch of books.
Because a lot of people, they have as the Black Panther Party brought my son to the struggle, and it's also twisted now that that Black power and self-determination came after nonviolence, you know. But my family were Garveyites, and so we believed in self-determination. We believed in Black power, and I joined the Black Panther Party, believing in self-determination and Black. And all my friends had, and same with, you know, Lamoma Shakur and them. They, you know, our parents, they were in the movement for self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
While it was developing, that short period of the history of our struggle for freedom. And so we had in New York, I tell people who were struggling. So the Black Panther Party way for us tonight. We didn't have we didn't have a way. We saw Party to spread.
You kind of choppy, Bilal. You coming in, going in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like we're hearing one word every sentence right now. I don't know if you want to log off and log back on or whatever, but it's just kind of really choppy. We can't hear you at all right now. Yeah, but Kazi, you want to add on to that as far as what he's talking about in regards to the political education piece?
Muted.
For people coming in expecting like to pick up the gun, that the education always had to lead first. That's not what directs the gun. I mean, just anger and wanting revenge, or that really wasn't the way that we were learning. I mean, we were learning. We had to learn the system. We had to learn, how the system worked, and that was mostly self-defense and to protect ourselves from attacks of the police. It wasn't, an offensive effort. I don't, not from what I learned.
Right. So Bilal, you back? You good?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much was heard, but one of the things I was saying is that we had we were, a lot of us were movement for self-determination. We weren't in part of a nonviolent movement and then joined. We believed in self-defense, and the idea of the party to us was now we had a national organization again, because growing up, we saw our parents and our uncles were part of the African Communities League that was led by Marcus Garvey. So we believed in self-determination. We believed in Black power. We believed in self-defense. And the period that was that talked about nonviolence, my life, that was a very short period. It came up, and then they tried to make that as if that was the prevalent thing for Black people, but it clearly wasn't. And even in the South, particularly in the South, more people had guns, and more people were willing to defend themselves. They grew up like that, like our brother Geronimo. He said he grew up in Louisiana as a young. You and I say he grew up as a junior legionnaire. The legionnaires was the military arm of the UNIA. And so he said he grew up, hunting and shooting coon and clan. So it was with a lot of us young people, the development of a Black Panther Party, of a national organization that believed in self-determination and believed in self-defense was very important to us. The community programs was essentially important because that's what we was organized to do, to show the people, because that's what self-determination is, that we don't need a government. As a matter of fact, the government has always been stopping us from doing for ourselves. But once we had a national organization that was committed to that, we were demonstrating to the people that we could have a government amongst ourselves. We could have a party for ourselves. And yeah, I just want to bring that out because a lot of people, not us here on this program, but a lot of people I always hear pushing that back narrative as if we moved from civil rights and nonviolence toward Black power, and we had been for Black power from the time of the from the time of the Civil War. The reason people were joining the Union Army was so they could legally have a gun and fight back. Yeah. Right. And the Port Royal experiment, the Negroes was asked what they want. You know, it was demonstrated then that what we wanted was self-determination, because they said we wanted our own educational program, we wanted a cultural program, we wanted to have we wanted to have the guns that we used in the Union Army. We wanted to have those guns so we could defend ourselves. Did we want integration? Everybody, all of those Negro preachers at Port Royal, South Carolina, said they wanted to be separate. All except for one voted for us to be a separate entity, and so that had been our thrust all these years, and the United States government was trying to disrupt that thrust, and they disrupted it for a while, but we put it right back on the map when they tried to, and if people don't know that, people continue with this false narrative that we was all, we were all la-di-da and, gonna, go along with the integration program. And then all of a sudden,
you fading out again.
We were not a civil rights movement on steroids. That was never us, and that was not us. It sounds good, but that is not what we were.
Right on.
We was a revolutionary nationalist organization that believed in the total transformation of society.
I'm glad that you all addressed that, because of the fact that it really seems that there's been all types of with technology, and I don't even know if I want to say technology, I would even say counterinsurgency to an extent, because of the fact that there's been a serious misinformation program, some by default and some by could be quote unquote just a lack of study. And I know that the whole civil rights thing, the first thing I was looking for a clip to play at the beginning of this particular program, and the first joint I ran across was saying the civil rights organization Black Panther Party. Then I popped on another clip, the civil rights organization Black Panther Party. So I'm just like, wow, this is like it's not accidental, and it's not coincidental that that particular piece is being pushed. I wanted to ask you all, because of the fact that just for the viewers, we're talking about 1966 being the formation of this particular version of the Black Panther Party. The bravery, you're talking about Kim joining it at age 12. You know what I'm saying? You had the little Bobby Huttons, who was one of the first founding members of the Black Panther Party, who was assassinated at age 17. You had Chairman Fred, 21 years old, assassinated, by the Chicago police and the U.S. government. I look at some of folks from my era and younger, and it's just like a whole different world. Just being that brave in places like Mississippi, you know what I'm saying, in places like Alabama. I wanted you all to speak to the actual formation of the party. How did it come about? When I say that, not the founding in 1966, but just like, how did all these chapters come about? You know what I mean? Because there's misinformation going on around that as well. We know it wasn't just like all of a sudden, hear ye, the Black Panther Party's in the place to be, and everybody just get in line. Can we talk about the formation, as how like the East Coast got involved, how some of these other chapters came into existence?
Well, I always talk about, my Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as A. Brown, because he was part of the, before everybody knows about him becoming the national chairman of SNCC, But before he was the national chairman of SNCC, he was the state chairman of Alabama. And in rural Alabama and in rural Mississippi, SNCC had formed a SNCC along with the Lowndes County, Alabama. They had what was known as the Lowndes County Freedom Organization. Before that, they had the Lowndes County Christian Organization for Human Rights. Lowndes Christian Organization for Human Rights. And these organizations organize people not just to vote. You know, we hear about voter registration, but they organize people to run for office. They organize people that had pledged themselves to take care of their office. And this is who they ran. This is who they ran for office. And as these organizations was developing, what they had in the I think the Democratic Party of Alabama had as its symbol the white rooster, and they had as its slogan something about white supremacy, and so the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, they decided to make their symbol the Black Panther, and that's the Black Panther symbol is what surfaced, and that was the ticket. The ticket was the Black Panther ticket. Everybody that was running on the independent in the independent rural black counties was running on the Black Panther ticket, and they used to say, vote for the Black Panther and then go home. Then go home meant that after you vote, go home and defend your home. Plan to shoot people down who dared to vote, and that was the origins of that movement. Then we had brothers like Mark Comfort. I remember was one of them who came from Oakland. When they heard about all of the self-defense that was going on, people actually came from California to take part in those self-defense teams. And that's when Bobby Seale wrote back to the brothers in Lowndes County, Alabama, said that they were forming an organization in Oakland, California, and could they use that symbol of the Black Panther? And of course, the brothers in the organization said, yeah, just use that symbol. And at the same time, you had SNCC had an alliance with the RAM, the Revolutionary Action Movement, which had begun forming parties around the country. So when the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense started up in Oakland with Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, there were people who were already trying to developing parties, and so as different parties were developing, we began to move toward a national party under the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. And so that's why I say, I was a Panther before I was a member of the Black Panther Party, because you had Panthers developing around the country, and because like I said, that's the type of movement we had. It was not a team movement. It was not an overground movement that was developing within the community and within small cells within other larger organizations. So the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense became a way when we could connect and project ourselves. And then the programs that we wanted to do, like healthcare in the community, breakfast for children, education for children, liberation schools. These are things that we were doing, and with a national party, we could project it amongst all of our people. because they could identify with one party all around the country, and regardless of what different organizations you belong to, people began to join the Black Panther Party.
Right on.
And then the newspaper became a major tool for recruitment, because we had our own means of disseminating information before the internet and before social media and stuff. We had our own means, and it was also a good tool for organizing. But I gotta admit, I hated selling newspapers because I was taking things from the people as opposed to giving stuff to the people. So I didn't like selling it. I liked when we had excess and we could give it out.
Right on. So yeah, so Mama Sukari, being in the Bay, how did that work out for you?
Because they give us a percentage.
Say it again.
Oh, shoot.
Mama Sukari,
We got a system with doing the party, because not only did we sell the paper.
okay. I think
So part of it was, I think what she's talking about is that when you sold the paper, it was 25 cents, then you got a portion of that money, which, by the way, in the West Coast, they got more money. They got 10 cents, and we got 5 cents on the East Coast.
Came over here trying to start an East Coast, West Coast.
That's right, all over again.
And I brought the wrong man on the joint today. So basically, the newspaper, of course, we know was a political education tool to help with recruitment and recruiting the masses, so on and so forth. And what would you all say was your most important program? You know what I mean? If you were saying, Lou, I'm looking to attract the masses or whatever, was it the actual paper itself, or was it the actual programs that that you all utilized?
Well, you could have no paper without the programs. So the paper by itself was a major thing, because then you got to know what was happening in Kansas City or Seattle or somewhere else, even if you were in one place. So that's it. But when I woke up in the morning, I was thinking breakfast program. When I went to sleep in the night, I was thinking breakfast program. I mean, that was a major part of my experience in the party, was of the breakfast program. It brought us in contact with many different elements of the community. One, you had to deal with the church people, because most of our breakfast programs, at least in Harlem, were in churches. You had to deal with them. Then you had the community. You're working with the kids. In fact, I'm a professor of education right now. I started my career in education through the breakfast program, teaching. I learned how to cook in the breakfast program. It was a major thing. And then also the thing, you had to go solicit the resources in the community in order to, do the breakfast program itself. So, but without the paper, there would, without the community, without the programs, there would be no paper. Okay. But most people outside the party knew the party through its paper.
Okay, right on. Hey, Kazi, I know that you're out in the Boston area, and one of the questions was posed was about the party in the New England area. I know that you, Chairman Fred Jr., and myself, we had traveled to one particular area out when we were in Boston one time. I'm trying to think what the area was.
New Bedford.
Yeah,
it was New Bedford, and Parky Grace and Dougie Moran and
Dougie Miranda.
Yeah, and Parky were out there in New Bedford area.
Right on. And I'm from the Connecticut area, and folks out there, we had brother Craig Kelly, and we know we had a chapter out in the Bridgeport area in particular, and we know there was chapters out in New Haven, so on and so forth. But I know that just from learning from them, particularly in Bridgeport, where I'm from, I know that they had a chapter in, I believe, Father Panic Village, which is one of the projects out that way. And I know that they were they was doing serious work in that area as well, to answer the question in regards to New England.
Hartford too.
Okay.
But then New Haven became a major place because of the Bobby Seale trial and the whole trial there. then it became a major place. People from all over the country then transferred there, and that became a major center for Panther work in 69, 70, basically, because of the trial. Erica.
Erica.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right on.
I was in the West Coast then.
Okay. Moving right along, because we don't want to get.
But let me mention, when we talk about that with doing work around political prisoners, we also connected that to the community. So with all that work around Erica Huggins, Bobby Seale, what have you, we also had programs, health clinics, breakfast programs. One program I wanted to mention that doesn't get a lot of light in New York was we had housing programs where we organized people to take over the housing, the dilapidated housing from the absentee landlords and create co-ops and what have you. Which, of course, the government done, shafted and put in Section 8 as a replacement for that. But we did a lot of work starting before I joined with the Panther 21, and then then later when they were arrested, we continued that work of doing rent stuff. New York is, it's about real estate, and if you're not dealing with, tenant rights and housing in New York, you're not, that's just as important as breakfast.
Right on.
Also, in one of the first things that we dealt with was housing rights and a tenant strike. When a lot of people see the picture of the Panthers marching at the UN, on that same day, there was a tenant strike going on. As a matter of fact, a lot of Panthers almost got expelled because the Central Committee said they were gonna. They referred to it as a cultural nationalist tenant strike because they didn't see the importance of fighting for people's right to live in decent housing. So a tenant strike was called, and the organizers of the tenant strike decided that they were going to continue with the tenant and then come down to the market. Did. And that saved the party in the eyes of the people, because the people could see that in New York you had a leadership that was truly for the people, and they wasn't just going to go along with what was being announced by the national leadership, denouncing the tenants. And the other thing that we had, fighting against drug traffic, and originally these are some of the things that led to, like, people always come up with this thing about it was an argument between Huey Newton and Eldridge Cleaver that led to the split. But these are the things that were apparent early in the development of the Panther Party. In New York, we were for tenants rights, and we were definitely against the drug traffic. And so we did that, and in some of the areas where we took over housing, we made it a law that nobody could sell drugs, nobody could use drugs within those buildings that we took over, and we made that a rule. And when we caught people doing it, we brought them out on the street and dumped the heroin in the gutter. Some people cried, and some people mad because they claim we should have turned some people saying on the side that we should have turned the dope over to the police. But the police was selling the dope. If we would have turned the dope over to the police, the dope would have been right back out there in the street, killing our people a few hours later.
Right.
One thing that Bilal's addressing is that, the limitations of what we democratic essentialism, where we wasn't dealing with local issues, where he's talking about that they were dealing with local issues. I know when I was in the party, in Harlem, which was 69, 70 to 71, we were less localized. And you had the Young Lords in New York were more localized and stuff. And we wanted to do the stuff that Bilal and them were doing before, because they understood. You're coming from California, you don't understand the kind of housing issues that you have in the Midwest or in the East Coast and stuff. That's a whole different kind of thing. And you got to allow local leadership to put out the programs, and what have you.
That's important that you mention that, because of the fact that, another, myth is like, all the programs were the same, and we know just from organizing, in different areas, there might be more hunger. In different areas, there may be a need for medical treatment, and so on and so forth. So I'm glad that you all touched on that. One of the things I want to talk about as well is because Bilal, you mentioned the whole, dumping the dope in the street, in the gutter type situation, and we know that along with that, it wasn't just you taking the dope and the fiends are sick. There were clinics that were established. Can we talk about some of the methadone clinics and the acupuncture clinic with Dr. Shakur and other folks?
Yeah, well, in 1971, in fact, there's a movie out. There's a few movies out. There's one called Takeover, which is about the taking over of Lincoln Hospital. There's a Detox People, which is about the program. And I think the most powerful one is called forgetting what it's called. Having a junior moment. A memory ain't. So there's several movies out about movement where the Young Lords took over Lincoln Hospital, and they were demanding health care in the South Bronx, where Lincoln Hospital was, because the hospital had been closed. As a matter of fact, it was condemned and it was closed, but then it was reopened for poor people. So they took it over, and then they negotiated. They brought in Black Panthers. The Black Panthers joined that struggle. Some of the Black Panthers was in it before, and members of the Citizens from the Republic of New Africa also joined that struggle. And Shakur was with the Republic of New Africa, and he's the one who negotiated with the city for the program to become for the program to be an ongoing program. And we were actually, I was hired as a counselor, and the drug program started off as a methadone maintenance program. But what was done at Lincoln Hospital is that we said we didn't want maintenance. People could be on a long-term detox, but with everybody enrolled in the program, the effort was to get them off of drugs. And then soon, just to make it in a nutshell, we in part of the political education, we studied about the Chinese Revolution, and we studied about the Boxer Rebellion, and we studied about how acupuncture was used. And then we saw how acupuncture was being used by some people in the United States and around the world. And it was noticed that a lot of the same symptoms that you have in withdrawal would be relieved. And so right there at Lincoln Hospital, we started using acupuncture. And when we started using acupuncture instead of methadone, because the pharmaceutical companies, they were getting rich off of that, using methadone. But when we started using acupuncture to replace methadone, and started refusing the methadone, and getting other programs around the country to do that, we actually formed a organization called BAD, the Black black acupuncture program, black anti-drug program, and we started and we was pushing that. We was pushing acupuncture instead of pushing methadone, and that's when the state really attacked us and tried to, because we wasn't, as long as we were pushing methadone, they could get along, they could go along with our program. But when we stopped pushing methadone, we stopped pushing drugs. They were against it, and that's yeah. I would, if I remember the name of the program, I'll send you a copy of it, Kalon.
Yeah.
Name of that film.
Are you talking about the one that by Dr. That's on Dr. Matula Shakur?
There's a few of them on Dr. Matula Shakur, but this one is
Is it a recent piece?
Yeah, it's a recent piece.
Dope is Death. Dope is Death.
Dope is Death. Dope is Death.
Yeah. We talked about that on. We had his son on Renegade Culture. We was talking about that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nah.
And then also you got Michael Setuel Tabor with his piece, Capitalism Plus Dope Equals Genocide.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic statement piece.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that one on as well. I think that one of the things that I would like to do too is get a film and book list from you all, because of the fact that again, it's so many out there, and just for our political education purposes, one of the things I try to do. Sounds like you faded out. Yeah, but one of the things we want to do is definitely make sure folks are on the right side of the barricades. And it's just amazing that one of the things Bilal was talking about was just the government and the drugs and the whole pharmaceutical industry, just seeing how it just goes way back. You know what I mean? And it's not as Gil Scott would say, it ain't no new thing. You know what I'm saying? We mentioned Dr. Matula Shakur, who's done excellent work. Him, folks like Imam Jamil Alameen, formerly H. Rap Brown. We talked about, in one of our other programs, we had, I think, Mama Tamu, and on another one we had Muhammad Ahmed, Max Stanford, and also had interviewed before he transitioned Baba Herman Ferguson. And one of the things they all talked about with Dr. Matula Shakur is him being probably not too much older than Kim was, 14 years old, over at what's that, New Bethel Church up in Detroit when they had the shootout. Yeah, and just how he defended, talking to Mama Ialua and like I said, Baba Herman, about how he threw them down on the floor and laid on top of them while the police was shooting through the church and everything. So we definitely want to big up Dr. Shakur for his work. And in mentioning him and Imam Jamil, I want to ask, how important is it for the viewers? We know it's very important, but how important to you is the support of political prisoners, and how should folks get involved in that fight? And I know that Kazi is involved in a tribunal coming up, but I want you all to talk about the plight of political prisoners and why everyone should be getting behind political prisoners.
Well, the Spirit of Mandela International Tribunal, which hearings start 2 days from now. There'll be an opening on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday there'll be hearings, and then Monday there'll be a report. There'll be a report to the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. So when we talk about everybody getting involved, we know a lot of times when there's a trial, everybody is on pins and needles waiting to know what's going to be the verdict.
That's right.
But we know what the verdict is going to be in this tribunal. And the United States government is being charged with violations of our people's human rights, from prison to environmental issues to workers' issues to the abject poverty that we face, is all violations of international human rights, which these violations of our human rights organized under an official program of the United States government. So we know the United States government is going to be found guilty, and we say the major work is going to be done after the tribunal is over, after the report is made to the UN Commission, in getting all of our people, all of our organizers involved in getting, it's not just going to be the fact that their guilt is announced. It's going to be announced. It's going to be interpreted, and we're going to put it into programs for children to understand in school. We're going to, particularly in colleges and high school, but all the way down to preschool. We want it. We want to make this not just an event, but this is an organizing tool. This Spirit of Mandela International Tribunal is an organizing tool where we'll with the plight of our political prisoners being up front and dealing with all of our issues, we will be using that to begin organizing the masses in a way that we've never, we haven't done in the past. And reparations, we're saying that the release of our political prisoners is the down payment on reparations. Politics talk about reparations. Release our political prisoners. When we come up with a way to release our political prisoners, then we can talk. But you got to put that down payment down if you want to seriously talk about want to talk restoring our people's rights. Got to restore that first.
Right on. Kazi, you wanted to add on? I know that
just what he said, man. Just what Bilal said. The work, everything we've been talking about today is what the tribunals would be about. The school to prison pipeline, the health conditions, the red line and everything. And just what Bilal was saying, after the tribunal, that work is really going to be necessary, man. And I see it, just what you were saying, Bilal, starting from, grade school all the way up, getting the people to understand just what happened, because that hasn't happened before in the past. We've gotten rulings from international court before, and it never translated back down to the community, and people never understood we've been awarded things by the international court. When we were over there after the after the conference on racism in 2001, we were awarded, things were introduced at that time, and it never translated, it never got back to the community. And, we got to do that work, man, on the ground. Yeah.
And one of the things, like during that period when we had the World Conference Against Racism in Durban, South Africa.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that things didn't get back is because 2 days later there was the bombing at the World Trade Center.
Right.
And so the States was condemned, all except, I think 67 countries in the General Assembly voted in favor of the African America receiving reparations.
That's true.
And the United States was being condemned worldwide.
Right.
From the Trade Center, they flipped the script on the press, and anybody who was talking bad about the United States after they just got, you was the most terrible people in the world. So that's how they flipped. We're gonna see what they're gonna have.
Exactly.
Bomb themselves again.
Yeah, because go ahead, Kim, but you're exactly right, and I still to this day believe that because Israel walked out of the conference on racism with the United States, because we used the word genocide in condemning them. They came to us and told us we couldn't use that word.
As part of the International Conference on Human Rights Law that was going on, defined Zionism as racism.
Exactly.
Zionism, so that was accepted worldwide. That Zionism was not a form of, it was not a religion that people practicing the Hebrew tradition embraced. If Zionism was something that came up out of England, you know. So that and it was part of it, and it was part of imperialism. So Zionism was defined for what it really is, and there were a lot of things that brought forth through that conference and the other simultaneous conference on human rights law at that time that condemned the United States. And a lot of people never got to hear what was the results of those two conferences because the Twin Towers got bombed, and all the sympathy came to all the sympathy with the United.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, Bilal, because of the fact that it seems like every time something major in the world goes down, they come with some bullshit. Like, for instance, Patrice Lumumba being assassinated, 4 days before Kennedy takes office. You know what I'm saying? It's always some type of, they clear the air before they do their dirt. You know what I'm saying? It's like if we're looking like we trapped, like Imam Jamil say, you don't want freedom, you want to marry my daughter. They flip the switch. You know what I'm saying? They're quick to do that. I want to definitely go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something else about political prisoners. Obviously, there are comrades, and we don't want no people left behind. But also political prisoners also the symbol for mass incarceration for school to prison pipeline, like Bilal was saying. And it's a way in which we can also continue to organize within the community. I was working in Philly a few years back with a Brother Maroon in working with fathers and mothers and connecting them with their families, as well as a means to highlighting his plight as a political prisoner. So it's a way for us to bring the plight of mass incarceration and the community together and also deal with it. Because first they come for us, then they come for the people in the community. But first they come for the leaders. And that's a symbol of what they're doing across the board to our people.
Right on. I would like to acknowledge Proletarian Pizza and Northern Witch. Those are some serious names for your contribution to the Black Power Media channel. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate that. I want to also point out when we talk about the whole situation around political prisoners, one thing we was talking about the other day on one of our other shows is how you look and you have Sirhan, who was accused of assassinating Bobby Kennedy. You have John Hinckley Jr., who attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan. Both of these cats are out of prison, but yet you have Sundiata Acoli, who's 84 years old and just got another 3-year hit, being turned down on his parole. Rochelle McGee, same thing, over 50 years in prison. I want to ask the question, not as if I'm Mr. Obvious, but why do you all feel that they're willing to hold Dr. Mutulu Shakur and Sundiata and so many others captive, but yet these folks who literally assassinated and made assassination attempts on some of their greatest white men, they're out on bond. They're out free.
Because they don't represent any long-term threat. These individuals are that you're talking about represent movements, represent a people in a history. But also there's a technical aspect. And that is that the PBAs, the policemen union, are outflanking us.
Right.
Okay. They are the single most important ingredient in fighting for the early paroles for most of our comrades in jail.
Right on.
Okay. And we got it when we doing our strategies for releasing them, we got to make sure. And I believe, for example, that the people who've been released recently is because the PBA was kind of minimized through the Floyd demonstrations.
Right on.
Okay. And because they've got undue lobbying power over the governors and what have you, the people who hold the keys to the prisons. Okay. In addition to the overall thing is that they represent a threat to the system as opposed to a lone assassin.
Right on. Mama Sukari, let's see if we can get some words in from you before you disappear again. Mama Sukari?
Yes.
Okay. I
was trying to write something in, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was wondering what you was doing. I thought you was cleaning your screen for a second. We was just seeing your hand. But we wanted to know, like, from you, just being active so long, political prisoners, what do you see? What would you suggest the viewers and some of the young folks can do to get involved in that particular plight and fight?
Well, there's a lot of stuff on the Facebook, a lot of things going out for different events and different sites you can go to participate and to support. I mean, it's really a great national movement going on these days, giving people an update on the cases. When I first saw brother, oh my goodness. Anyway, he had been arrested, and after he had been underground.
Okay.
Wow. They really don't want to.
Every time she give an answer, she disappeared, man. What's going on with that?
Hey, sabotage, man.
Yeah. Check on her, man. They may be, she might be a political prisoner. They don't want her to say nothing.
Zero.
Talk about Mutulu Shakur. Mutulu Shakur, just like Geronimo Chijanga, was a teenager, and he was already involved in the military apparatus. He was a legionnaire, and he was assigned to go to that convention and to protect people. And the head of the Legion, General Chewy, was arrested right at the start of the assault. So the person in charge was arrested, and the legionnaires had to, based on their own understanding, and had to take command from somebody else, and they had to do what they had to do what they did, and based on their training, they survived people, and they were able to help the people survive. And in that incident, we didn't have any casualties, even though they came in shooting and started shooting. We had such people like Mutulu Shakur, who had been trained, and as a youth, as a young person in the Black Legion, was able to perform his duties and save the lives of those elders in the movement who were there at the convention to take part in the convention business. So this was a long tradition with him, to the point where when he was taken into custody, besides being the leader of the Harlem Detox Center, which was one of the institutions that grew out of the shutting down of Lincoln Detox. He and his wife, Sister Fanny Shakur, had created the National Task Force for COINTELPRO Research and Litigation, and that task was responsible for bringing about the information that led to Deruba's getting free, that led to Geronimo Chijanga getting free. Because once you amass so much information, they don't want that information out, and they would rather than have that information exposed, they'd rather let the people out. So that's one of the things that we hope will come out of the the tribunal, that we were looking forward to developing an apparatus that brings this information forward for the people on trial. And we won't just be presenting it to the domestic courts, we'll be presenting it to international courts where we know we can win. One such court is the Inter-American Court, San Jose, Costa Rica, part of the Organization of African States, and they when people are found guilty, they issue. We're sure the United States would rather go than to pay fines, than to pay billions of dollars, and so developing these apparatuses is what we're looking forward to do after the hearings are over in this tribunal. So we will, and when we are able to release our political prisoners and return them back to the community, and they're able to join the various struggles that we as the whole nation is involved in, the revolution, the struggle will proceed much more rapidly. But it's gonna depend on us initiating this educational process, just like political education we talked about was important in the development of the Black Panther Party. Political education and education is going to be the most important things when we close this tribunal and embark on another level of struggle and another level of new building in our communities.
I want to ask you, Bilal, because of the fact that, again, one of the things that comrades, elders, OGs, people that are involved in a particular movement, one of the things we do is we use terms and we talk about things as if everybody already knows what time it is. So I just want to, for the viewers who are not aware, you mentioned the Legionnaires and the Black Legion. So can you give folks, give them a brief history of or an idea of what was the role of the Black Legion and its from its inception, and what is the Black Legion?
With in the 20s, following the massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was formed, and the African Legion was formed. People in Oakland, when they saw the U.S. troops coming, thought the U.S. troops was coming to save them from this massacre that was going on, and the U.S. troops fired on them, and so the African Legion was created in communities across the country and communities across the world to get people in an organized manner defending our communities from such atrocities as Tulsa and Rosewood, etc. And so the African Legion, so the African Legion was in effect, and that they had dropped the term African. It was called the Black Legion, was in effect in the Midwest, primarily in the Midwest around in the early 60s, in the mid 60s, and at the time of the formation of the Provisional Government of New Africa. So the Black Legion became the army of not only of New Africa, but it became the army that Black people looked to in various communities around, particularly in the Midwest, but it was in existence, and they united with other groups that were in the self, like the Deacons for Self-Defense was another such group, and for that purpose to defend our community. So when the Black Panther Party started, it was another development. So and it was a formation known as the Black Man's Liberation Army that was created. That was the umbrella of these fighting groups, which later, when the Black Panther Party was driven underground, they didn't use the term Black Man's Liberation Army. They just used the term Black Liberation Army to continue underground in fighting. But the African Legion and the Black Legion were long-standing developments towards having towards having an understanding with the people that we got somebody that'll watch our back, and that'll take care of business, that'll watch our back, and that'll shoot back.
Right on. Definitely appreciate that clarity, because of the fact that, again, we know that there's folks that's like, well, what's that? Is that the Black Panther Party? Is that this, so on and so forth? So we definitely appreciate that clarity. What I would like to do is, because we're close to time, but what I would like to do is two things. One, if there is a web address for the Spirit of Mandela for the tribunal coming up, and we're looking forward to not only looking forward to it, but also we're looking to, bring some folks back on to discuss the findings and also possibly, how some of the information and share it with some of our viewers. So if you all have a web address for that, or something that folks could Google, and we can do that.
Yeah.
Bilal, the Spirit of Mandela is all I have.
Okay. So.
An easy one that I was told is developed. This one that Matt gave me the other day. Tribunal, just the word tribunal, 2021. If anybody goes to that website, tribunal2021.com.
Okay, tribunal2021.com.
Yeah, tribunal2021.com. There'll be instructions of where to click, and people will be able to, anyone will be able to monitor the hearings. You'll be able to view the hearings, and that'll start at Friday the 22nd at 12 o'clock. And again, the hearings will be till, I'm not sure what time Friday night, but the actual hearings will begin Saturday morning at about 9 o'clock, and Saturday and all day Sunday. I'm not report to the UN will be available to be viewed. But if you go to that starting Friday, it'll be clarified to you.
Cool. And again, I want to definitely thank you all for coming on. But what I would like to do is, if for each of you to leave the viewers with some closing words or suggestions that you all feel may aid in our liberation as a whole. So we can start with we're gonna try Mama Sakari one more time, because like every time we ask her a question, the state like we ain't trying to hear what she's talking about. So we're gonna start with you. Any closing comments or suggestions for for the masses that's viewing?
Yes, for them to be sure to study and their history, and to understand who they are and where they live and where they're living, and that they have a right to define their own destiny. And it should be their duty to learn as much as they can and to go as far back in time so that you can remember what you need to do today.
Right on.
Okay.
And I yield.
Yes. We appreciate you for joining us for sure. Brother Kim, man, what you got, comrade?
We must never forget or stray from what we're about. We're about the people. No matter what our particular circumstances are, there's always other people who are in need, and we need to address that. This is not a petty bourgeois movement, although we welcome petty bourgeois people to it. But this is a movement about the masses of people. We must never forget that or stray away from that.
Right on. Definitely appreciate that. Baba Bilal, what you got for us?
I want people to go to that, go to the site Tribunal 2021, and also go to the website Kazi was talking about, Spirit of Mandela, and so that you can get a complete view of all of the all of the issues, including political.
Bilal,
Then you'll be able to get on and find out more web addresses, because we could all give out web addresses of the individual political prisoners, but that'll come later, or maybe you can have a show about that. But that'll be available if you go to the web address dealing with the tribunal.
right on. And we'll keep on pumping it over the next few days up until that day to make sure that folks get the joint. Kazi, what you got rocking with us, brother? You muted. Let me unmute you real quick.
I just feel like, anybody that I can only follow people who sacrifice the most, and those are the political prisoners. And I just think that people ought to join Jericho, man. We have built Jericho. Those people have sacrificed the most for us to move the struggle forward, and we can't leave them. We can't leave them, man. We leave them, we won't get the next generation. So let's join Jericho.
And when you say, when you say join Jericho again, like I told Bilal, you know what I'm saying? Some folks it's the first time them hearing it. You know what I'm saying? What is Jericho?
Yeah, give them the website.
Yeah, Jericho Movement. Just go to Jericho Movement for amnesty for political prisoners. They can Google that, and they can find out who all the political prisoners are in the United States. Those exiled too.
Right on. So definitely, we appreciate you all coming on and joining us today. We've been joined by. Go ahead.
Also, one other thing, I think people need to endorse the Spirit of Mandela. Go to that page and endorse it. That to give people an idea of across the country, because when they endorse it, we get their email addresses, and we can continue to be in contact with them after the tribunal.
Right on.
On the move.
Right on the move. So indeed, again, we appreciate you all coming on, for joining us for this 55th year commemoration on Black Power Media. We know we might have had a little bit of lightweight technical difficulties, but we appreciate all the viewers and everything for sticking in, and I'm sure that you got the meat off the plate. You know what I'm saying? You have an idea of what was what, and I hope that it was of some benefit. Again, we look forward to having you all back on, and again, we appreciate you, man. All power to the people.
All power to the people. It's free them all.
Free them all. Yes. So we're gonna be right back with you.
One other thing, man.
What's happening?
There's a demonstration today in New York for Afia Siddiqui, the sister who has been locked down for the last 10, 15 years, man. And she's from Pakistan.
19 years.
Pardon me?
19 years.
19 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And her name is spelled Afia Siddiqui, Sadiqui, excuse me, QI or QUI, I believe.
Right.
Definitely, it's QUI, Bilal?
Yeah, QUE.
QUE. Okay. So definitely, Google her and join us as well.
Right.
All
right, man.
No doubt. So we appreciate you all joining us. All power to the people.
I appreciate you.
Without a doubt. You've been watching Riot Starter TV on Black Power Media. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go to the archives. We have some heavy stuff coming up. Just as a spoiler alert, I just did an interview yesterday with the daughter of Patrice Lumumba, Juliana Lumumba. So we'll be broadcasting that over the next 48 hours. So make sure you check that particular broadcast out. We have some joints we did last week with Ward Churchill, talking about COINTELPRO. We have some other pieces coming up. We have a number of different political prisoners that will be calling through to check us out and join us live and direct. So again, we appreciate your support. If you are really loving what we're doing, make sure you become a patron. Go to our Patreon, which is at blackpowermedia.org, blackpowermedia.org. There you can find all of our archives, and aside from that, you can actually assist in building this process. So again, we appreciate y'all. Stay black, stay strong, all power to the people, and stay ready for revolution. We'll see y'all next time. Riot Starter TV, Black Power Media. We out.